Hello, fellow sojourners. I'm your host, Dave Layton, and welcome to Travel with a Purpose, a podcast designed to keep sojourners and friends informed, entertained, and inspired. In today's episode, we'll be visiting with Jim Foltz. Jim is the chairperson for the Camp B Fall Workshop. Now, I also want to mention his wife, Jeanette. She usually, our ladies serve as a coordinator and taking care of some of the other programs that go on. So I appreciate Jim and Jeanette for their hard work in this. I've done a workshop before, and there's a lot of moving parts. Jim, just as I had it all put together and we were ready to pull the trigger on it, COVID hit. And so we had to cancel that year, but I had everything in place. My wife and I, we were ready to go. How you doing this afternoon, Jim?
We're doing good.
The purpose of what I want to do is folks are getting ready to make travel plans, and I hope that certainly includes coming to Camp B for the fall workshop. And so I'd like to spend some time just chatting with you about what are the plans for workshop this year. But first of all, let's get a little recognition out there. Who are your teammates, those that help you pull it together?
Well, as you know, of course, Chris and Donna have helped a lot. Chris is our, coordinator for workshops and, co-director for workshops. So I think from the first time we had the handover, Jeanette was a little skeptical that how we were going to do this, but last fall after the workshop, we went up to the office and we spent, a couple hours going over everything, and Jeanette got this big notebook, and Donna and Nadine Hutchinson helped too with making that, I think, a little easier. And so we got that, over the hill. I think what somebody doesn't know, when you say yes, and it's 3 years before you're going to do it, you don't know exactly what all is going to be happening in that time frame. And so it was, in Jeanette's case, at that time I was not married. I was widowed and wasn't married. So, we've only been married. So she got this by default because I'd already agreed to be chairman, in 25 before I married her. So she's got roped into this. So I feel a little sorry for her, not too sorry, because she's doing fine.
Yeah. Yeah, the neat thing is you're not in it alone. You do have some teammates, and that's why we want to recognize them. But yeah, you start out as one of the chair, a co-director, and then you get, or co-chair, and then you get to move on closer and closer till it's on you. So you got 3 years to get ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
well, because I don't want to scare anybody off from volunteering to be the chairman of the program. But who are your teammates?
And we have, I think if I look at it, we have 9 or 10 chairmen that have different things that they're going to be doing. I can't remember all of them. There's certainly chairmen for the banquet, chairmen for the both the Green Dots, hospitality people. So from parking to, hosting block parties, everything like that, there's a chairperson over that. And those people, of course, you could not pull it off without all those people coming forward. So I think, I can't remember, there's 9 or 10 of them that are helping us in that way. And the other thing that's been helpful to me as I've done sojourns, particularly this year, is when we were at Little Prairie earlier this year, I said, I want to talk to the guys and I want to talk to the women. And so I had a little input from sojourners about what they wanted, and I'm thankful for that. Now, I will say that you also had a time where the men one time got a little bit carried away about a project that is of course without, above the scope of the workshop, but it was good to get input. And I did that again when we were in Bowling Green, and recently we just had an Oklahoma group. In fact, this last week we had a cookout, and there's 20-some sojourners there, and so I asked for some help in some specific areas there and received some help from my some people I sort of known or have helped in the past. So I don't know that. Of course, you have to give kudos to the office for helping out. I've called several times, and Sally and Jimmy both have helped on things. So you have to give kudos to the office too.
What are the official dates for the workshop?
Well, the official dates, when we look at it, it's always the same 2 weeks, but of course, some things will happen before that. So Monday, October the 13th through the Thursday, October 23rd are the official dates. But of course, as you know, and many people that have come before know that some things happen beforehand, particularly there's a welcome tea that Sunday. And there's a couple of meetings that sometimes we have even Saturday before, sometimes for green dots and for new people. And some of that's still in the planning stage, but we will have people there ahead of time, of course, to set up. I just talked to Larry, our chairman for the parking, and I asked him, when do most people come in? And as people start coming on a Wednesday ahead of time, usually Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and of course we'll be down there early, and Chris and Donna will be there, and so a lot of people will be there early to help set up. But officially, Monday is our first session. Monday morning is our first session, but we will have things going on of course, that Sunday before too.
Okay. When do you plan on having the schedule ready to get out to everybody?
I've got it almost ready now. I will have it. I need to confirm a couple of things. A couple of new ideas came up recently that helped fill up a couple of slots, and I still need a couple more slots. I'd like to, but I'm hopeful to have it done within the next few days.
Okay.
I'm close to it, but I just haven't got some yeses back and haven't gotten some. We've talked about a couple ideas and haven't got that person maybe to fill that slot that we want to do. So I'm still would be more comfortable if I had a couple more slots filled before I release it.
Well, as I experienced, and you will, if you haven't already, you'll have something lined up and then somebody just can't do it. And so you got to have a standby.
Yeah.
So,
We have. I do have one standby, particularly on the ladies' side, and I have a couple other options on that too, particularly the second week. The first week is pretty well booked up. The second week there's a couple three more slots the second week that we don't have. So we'll see how that goes. I hope to have that pinned down in the next few days.
And what is the theme for this year?
The theme for this year is living God's love, and it's a relationship approach with our spiritual disciplines. And the scripture I chose was James 4:8. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. And so the idea that I had in mind was, we know that sojourners have this servant heart. We don't have to worry about service, but sometimes when we think about sometimes we need a little bit of people, somebody to dip into, to pour into our bucket instead of dipping out of our bucket and to helping people all the time. Also, I think that we have most of the Christians are very mature. Most of the sojourners are very mature Christians. And sometimes I think we do things for granted, so we can look at some things that we have available to us that maybe can help us in our walk and also help us in our goal, of course, is to all to get to heaven. And so we want to make sure that we use every talent that we have or that we've given or make use of the gifts that we have where we can. So that was my approach to that. I really think there's some of the spiritual gifts that, some of them are inward, some of them are outward, and some of them we do corporately. So that will be first week we'll concentrate on some, second week a few different, and so that's what I've got the keynotes mostly lined up to do.
Okay. Well, along that same line, what are some of the highlights that we can anticipate in this year's workshop? I know you don't have all of them nailed down yet, but what are some of the highlights?
Well, I think one of the highlights that I hoped that I found that I've recently experienced is uh, I was able to have of course, we've got some sojourn speakers and we've got outside speakers. And one of our outside speaker that we'll have the first week for a couple of days is Myron Bruce. And he does the Singing with the Spirit ministry. He's into it full time now for many years. He preached around, and about a year ago, he's stepped down from full-time preaching and he does this, and he's well known. Even when I told Chris about him, Chris knew him from his days at Tyler, so he's been in Texas and Oklahoma and I think Missouri over the years. And what we do, of course, a lot of it does, he's an excellent song leader, of course, so it's focused on music, but it's just focused on worship. One thing that we come to have at my home congregation that he was instrumental in getting is we've had a class, we call it a recharge class, where we sit down and most of it's singing or just meditation, or sometimes we'll take a scripture and look at it. It's not so much, just the preaching and everything like that, of course you get that in there. And it's been a very, very beneficial class. It's not necessarily just learning new songs, it's learning the element of praise that we have and to be lifted up by that. And so that's partly one of the things I'm looking forward to, because he'll do does these workshops all over, and I've given him a couple of slots to, he has one called Singing with Understanding and the Stirring of the Heart of Praise. And so that's the focus he will do. So that's one thing I have. The following week I have one of my, he's on our staff here at North MacArthur where I go. I have Dale Hartman. Dale is they were missionaries for several years in Australia. In fact, he's in Australia right now. Then he was a pulpit minister at Eastside here in Oklahoma City for a number of years. He's now on our staff, and he is a great storyteller. He's from his time in Australia, even as a farm boy in western Oklahoma. He just has this knack. He also has a background. He's got two masters. One of them is in ancient history, and historically, when you're talking about the New Testament or whatever, or Old Testament, he can always set the historical context, and he does it with humor, and he always is a great storyteller. So Dale will come the second week and do a couple of keynotes on that, and then our own. The first week, let me move it here. I've got it on my other screen here. I got asked Brian Galloway. He is a sojourner. I met Brian last year, and he, I got tickled at him because his email address is like pilot preacher or something like that, because he flies and he also preaches some. But I will have him kick off the series on the first day. So I'm looking forward for Brian to go ahead and kick it off. And also, when we look back at sojourning, we used to do a lot of other sojourning, the type that Bill Hardy does. And I asked Bill to talk one day too. He's had some recent successes this year. I know in eastern Oklahoma they had a sojourn where we had some baptisms and things like that. It's the old-timey sojourning that a lot of people have heard about, and so. But he's, I've told he's a great gospel preacher, so he will speak one time. So I'm looking forward to a mix of both our own talent and a couple of outsiders to come in and to talk to us that way. we've
Wait,
talked
wait,
about.
when you say talk to us that way, are you talking about they're going to teach us how to evangelize?
Well, in Bill's case, he does. That's what I meant, Bill. I may have misspoke a little bit when I said that way. I probably was not the right terminology to use that way about of that terminology. But Bill Hart, I don't know exactly because when he does a keynote, he'll be at the topic I've given him, but will have the afternoon an afternoon session about how to share how he shares the gospel. He's
Okay.
had this in the past and it's been well received. And I just wanted to highlight the work he does because there's I believe a lot of people will enjoy that and some people are a little shy about doing that, and maybe that will help somebody want to do that.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking that is we have had a lot of folks that have said to us, Sojourners, we're getting away from evangelism. We're not teaching about how to evangelize. And so I want to encourage folks to know that, yes, that's still a part. Absolutely. We
And,
are
and, that,
about evangelism. So
and
come
that
and
was
learn
one
some
of
skills.
that was one of my ideas too. We need to focus on that too, because it's not the easiest part of it. Yeah, it's not the easiest part of sojourning, perhaps for most people, but maybe you can push your comfort zone, and somebody that might not want to help in that before, maybe he can make it more comfortable for them.
You know, sometimes people will say, well, I'd like to evangelize, but I'm afraid to, or I don't know how to. And it's like, well, okay, we're going to give you some classes on it. We'll take that excuse off the
Yeah.
table. What about other skill building classes? Are you going to have some of those built in there, some of the physical things we do?
Yes, I've tried to have like from the reviews. I've read all the reviews from last year, and I've even seen the Florida reviews. So we're trying to have a track where we're talking about a lot about RVs. Also, there will be, of course, some things about plumbing and electrical. Uh, and I'm not for sure about the work projects yet because I've not covered that with Joel, but he just said yes. He didn't say what we're doing when talked to him. I know that's important for some people to have that skills. There's some ideas out there. I don't know if we can do them exactly where they'd like to have something to build and then take all the steps through it. I don't know the time and that we have the time in the environment to do what that right now. But Joel's got something going on. I'm not for sure what that is yet, and because I've not clarified that with him.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, we just try to have a balance of things. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
About the program, well, of course, one thing we will have is we will have the women's program. And we were doing it on Friday. I guess in the past it asked for it on Friday, and it was Saturday last year, and there were some negative comments about that, and yet some positive. Overall, the women's program had got positive comments, but there were some negative comments about when it was. So we moved it to Friday. Uh, Diane Hutchinson has agreed to take that on again. So they're working on that. And the other thing I'm doing, so while the women are doing that, I've got a lot shorter and different. I want to have a time of prayer for men. I call it would be coffee and prayer. We won't meet the whole day like the ladies will and have lunch like they will, but I want to have a meeting and just have a prayer session with men and coffee and donuts while we do that on Friday. So that's one thing that's new or different than we've done previously.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a busy 2 weeks, as it usually is. We encourage everybody that can to be here. The fellowship is going to be great. The spiritual uplift is going to be great. The skill building of the time of our Green Dot banquet and our Sojourner banquet, all of those activities are part of what helps bind us together, as we like to sing.
Well, and talking about our banquets, I just happened to, at our Oklahoma group last week, we just talked to Ronnie and Vicky. I believe they're the chairs of the one of the banquets, and the theme, last year was lumberjacks. This year it's going to be bikers. So I guess you're going to have to dress in your leather pants and get a do-rag or something. But I don't know much more about it than that.
I'm not so sure about that, brother.
I don't know what they're coming up with, but trust those two. I know it will be good. So, but we were joking about have to find if we had the ladies trying to find if they had leather pants out there they could wear, but leather. So I don't know, but I'm sure we'll have fun. We'll have a good time with that.
Well, Jim, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I know you got more things to do, and it'll come together. It always does.
Yeah, it always does. I've read about some things. The one thing I will say, I always appreciate when people say yes. Uh, I They are hard to contact. There's people I emailed people out, didn't get much back. I finally started texting and sometimes didn't, and finally I had to call some people. And so I would just put that down for, we need to talk about that when we're promoting it for next year, that, hey, people, you need to help this guy when he's trying to put it together, because there's a lot of moving parts here, and you need to be able to say yes. And sometimes I've got, well, maybe, or but mostly and then one week I got 3 responses to one once, and I was really happy that week. I filled 3 slots at one, bam, 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 and it looked good. And then sometimes you go a while and you don't get responses. And I know people are on sojourn sometimes, and I know that people, sometimes they don't. I want to get my, sheets filled up, all my slots filled up, and they're thinking about all the other things they've got going on, and we need to get it so the office can help and things like that. We can get it in, and some people think, oh, October, that's still a ways off. It's getting closer.
Yeah, it is getting closer. Okay. Well, let me wrap up, my friend. Well, friends, that wraps up our visit with Jim Foltz, our 2025 Can't Be Fall Workshop chairperson. This exciting event is one that we all look forward to as we get together. We meet our green dots, our old acquaintances, we renew, we generate excitement for our mission, and we make our plans for travel. So we hope you will be a part of it and come to workshop. Well, if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, or you know someone that we should have as a guest, or maybe there's a topic you wish for us to discuss, please email me at sojournersevangelize@gmail.com. That's sojournersevangelize@gmail.com. Also, please follow our podcast and keep updated when new episodes are published. I'm your host, Dave Layton, and remember, we glorify God as together we travel with a purpose.